Guess we'll find out in post.
Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Peterson.
I'm Jack Hinkle.
Welcome back to Chops Podcast, the best podcast in the world.
Where sometimes E flat can feel like a D natural.
Oh, you thought it was on the low
I
side?
thought it was just a little bit on the low side today.
This is the podcast where we talk about best practices, about knowing your content, knowing your students, and knowing your teaching.
That's what they say.
How you doing, Jack?
Oh, we're back. Caffeinated, ready to go.
Second week back.
Second week back. How you doing? You ever do wrong answers only with your kids?
No, tell me about it.
You'd say like, how you doing? Wrong answers only. And you'd be
Oh.
like, Jack, I got like 12 hours of sleep last night.
Oh,
I am like so energized all the time throughout the day. Actually, I did start doing wrong answers only with music theory because we're doing those.
I think last year when I taught it, the kids thought we were doing that all year round.
You're like, wait,
I
you tell your kids we're doing wrong answers?
I love that class, but man, there was a lot of wrong answers. I love those kids, but man, there was a lot of wrong answers. Oh, okay. So you do wrong answers only.
So we do like the AP classroom review questions, and there will be something up there, and it's always multiple choice with those. And they say wrong answers only.
Does that work out pretty well?
They usually give the wrong answer. Yeah. Ooh, that means my door's unlocked. Okay. So you give the kids multiple times to give wrong answers. So, but sometimes you can do it with like opinionated stuff.
Okay, that's cool.
Right, wrong answers only. So how you feeling today? Wrong answers only.
I feel super motivated, well rested, and not confused at all of my mental state. I have this thing lately where I wake up at 4, almost like on the button. Steve does not go back to sleep.
Steve does not go back to sleep. 4 a.m. There's not much good going on at 4 a.m.
That's what they say.
Unless you're like a CEO of a company and you take like a cold shower, you go on an 8-mile run, and you like squat 315 pounds.
315 pounds. Look at you.
Yep. Yeah, that's probably similar to my wrong answer. I'm feeling super well rested. I feel like a great teacher today. Feel like I'm just like
I felt like such an awesome teacher today. I felt like highly effective. I mean, it was hard to imagine how highly effective I was today as a teacher.
Sure it was.
This is how it went. No, okay, back to right answers only. This is how it went. Like, we rehearsed this piece of music today in one of the classes, and I said, guys, that does not sound good. And somebody said, well, it's because this is the first time I looked at it. And I go, exactly.
You're like,
exactly. We should have been at look. So I said, just go out in the hallway. I said, just work on it. I don't even know what to tell you. It was so bad.
You know, I've started saying that more. I don't know if that's good or bad.
Go out to the hallway?
No. I'll just say that was pretty bad. I just start saying that more clearly, but I only say it when I know they can be better, and they know they can be better. I would never say it after like their darndest rep or run of it or something after they worked really hard and it sounds bad. I'd never say it sounds bad. But it usually is like the first time we play something like, wow, that was horrible. Let's do that again.
Yes.
And the kids are usually like,
right.
Yep.
Now, I did go up to those students in the next class, and I said, I'm not mad at you. And they go, yeah, you just want it to be better. And I said, exactly.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's some good self-awareness.
Yes. I said, yeah, it doesn't reflect on how I like you or don't like you. It's just like, that was really bad, and you weren't prepared, so work on it.
Which brings us, right, to where we need to go. Conflict. Or lack thereof. I'm sure all of you listeners just have no conflict in your workplace. I'm sure the kids just like come into your class, sit down, back straight, pencils sharpened, iPad charged, and are just locked eyes with you, smiles, and just ready to do everything you say. I'm sure that's how it goes.
Yep.
I'm sure that the emails that come in are always necessary, prompt replies, grade books always filled. I'm sure that's how it goes at all your schools.
It's rainbows and kittens.
Rainbows, kittens, and full cups of coffee. But, on the off chance something happens that you're not happy with or someone else is not happy with or could potentially
send an email about them, but send it to somebody else.
And then accidentally BCC the whole school listserv.
Yeah.
Oh. That'd be a good one. Do some
BCC the whole school district.
like if we had like write-ins and like share your screenshots of accidental emails to the wrong person that like you got cooked by, that'd be a good segment to share in the socials.
Because that happens every once in a while in the teaching world. I'm sure it doesn't anywhere where there's a server. But
sometimes you send a remind to the whole school district telling your flutes and clarinets where you're going to rehearse. Howdy, cowboy emoji.
Yeah, Jack's alluding to an evening rehearsal where I sent to my 55 flutes and clarinets, but on Remind, the texting app that's safe to text with kids, and
you sent it to the entire junior high and high school students and parents.
So there was like over 2,000 kids that I sent it to.
That was such a beautiful moment.
And we were in the workroom in the music department, and then I sent it. I have no idea because I've used Remind for years, but instead of hitting flutes and clarinets, I had something. And it was like, howdy, we're meeting on here. Please be here and whatever. See in a little bit. And then I just got a barrage.
Just immediately.
I just got destroyed. Like, bro, why are you coming up? Who are you? What's Mr. P? I don't play flute.
Unsubscribe. Unsubscribe. Stop.
There was some people got mean.
It was just all within like 10 minutes. And then you got the call from the technology director that said, hey, Mr. Peterson, just want to let you know. You're like, I know. I've gotten 20 texts back. I know.
Can we talk sometime about the correct use of Remind? Yes.
No, I'm throwing my phone into the river. It's fine. Everything's fine. Gosh, that was a beautiful day. I'm sorry that's kind of at your expense, but it's harmless. Like that was a harmless thing. But that's a top 10 moment of this year.
That was pretty funny because there were so many, and there were so many different flavors of responses. People were like, please unsubscribe me from this list. My son is not in band. And kids that were just like dropping inappropriate language coming back at me and like, who's Mr. P?
What's a clarinet? But it was funny because all the band kids are like, why did I get the flute Remind? I'm in the high brass. I'm just like, you.
Mr. Peterson had a little trigger finger.
Okay, conflict. So we can talk about this at a teacher-to-student level because that's probably easier to solve.
Yeah.
But maybe if there's like a teacher-to-teacher level, or, submit your business label of choice, coworker to coworker, whatever.
Right.
Conflict. I told my kids today, watch me, I'm knocking on wood. I told my kids today, I'm like, I'm really glad that you guys are here. I'm like, I appreciate that you are like attentive and you look up and you smile and you're generally quite positive and polite all the time. Because I did have a puzzling experience with a student last week about like asking to go to a different class. A puzzling experience.
Were they not nice about it?
Right. And pretty adamant that they were correct and I was incorrect.
So how did you handle it?
That's the question. Okay, I've noticed with younger kids that if you kind of take them down a different rabbit hole, they usually go down it and kind of forget the issue.
So did you go silly with them?
I think I did because they're like, I just want to go over there and eat a Pop-Tart. Like that was part of the response. Just like, I just want to eat my Pop-Tart. And I said, what flavor you got? They're like, hot fudge sundae. I'm like, you like those better toasted?
Oh, the student said they want to go over and eat a Pop-Tart.
Yeah.
That's why they wanted to leave your room.
Correct.
So I'm thinking it's SRT. Not Jazz 2.
Yeah. And I was like, can I get a pass to go eat a Pop-Tart? And I said, typically we try and keep passes a little more academic related. I'm like, I just want to eat my Pop-Tart. And that's when I asked about the flavor. Do they like it better toasted? And they kind of went with me.
Did they stay there?
They did.
So you got them.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it was
You got them. Okay.
But I just was kind of fascinated that like we're having a back and forth about a Pop-Tart. But, you've said something before on this podcast that kind of has resonated with me is that like they're experiencing some of these things for the first time. Like talking to a teacher when it's probably not a big deal to them that they want to go to a different room to eat a Pop-Tart.
Right.
So I mean, I get it. I do get that they're experiencing that feeling for the first time and like, why is there a rule for something when I'm just going to do the right thing? So I get that. And I think I said, man, not being able to sit and eat your Pop-Tart is probably just going to wreck your day, isn't it?
Oh, you went there.
I usually that's been my other response, and like
over dramatic.
oh, I'm just like, wow, yeah, or like, Mr. Trinkle, can I plug my phone in? No, not right now. Ugh, wow,
Idiot.
You not plugging in your phone, that's probably going to really be the hardest part of your day.
Yeah.
That's going to be rough. Jeez. I just try and go too far the other way. And it's never mean. Like I'm always like kind of tongue in cheek about it, and like they can kind of see that I'm being silly. But that's one thing I do. Take the sails out of the wind.
Yep.
As you would say.
Yep.
So that's one strategy I've been doing a little bit more. That maybe is more for my sake than the kids' sake.
I just heard that phrase again last week. It was about adult conflict. And my wife was talking to a friend about adult conflict in another workplace setting, and that was a phrase that was brought up. Like, well, you just got to take your sail out of their wind. Like you got to control what you can control.
Yeah.
Like, so don't fight back. Don't give them the yeah buts, right?
Oh, the yeah buts, dude.
Yeah, the yeah buts.
The yeah buts. I hate those.
That sounds like you handled that well. That's good. And obviously in the big scheme of things, that was something little.
Oh, very. Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
And most of the stuff is little.
Correct.
I would say with conflict, I told this to the band today, the band that I worked with the last period. My nugget of wisdom today was when you have a conflict, but I didn't even know we were going to talk about conflict today.
You didn't.
So I said, when you have a conflict or you have a problem with somebody, you go directly to that person. Do not share your conflict with somebody else that has nothing to do with it. And I said, it's just not very nice.
And as you would say, that's the drama parasite.
That
is attached itself to
right.
the host.
And it wants to create like it
must feed.
Right.
Must feed. Yeah, if you got a problem, either find a way to professionally, respectfully, politely communicate the issue
right.
with the source, or do nothing, say nothing.
Right.
And obviously easier said than done.
Right.
Because you got those burning emotions inside that you're like really upset about.
Right.
But the moment that you let that exit, it will attach itself to a host, and you have no control of where it goes from there. You have spread it, and you have allowed it to spread further than that person.
Right.
And the worst thing, or maybe not the worst thing, is that it finds its way back to the person you need to work something with through.
Right.
And then it's become an icky situation instead of one that can be tidy and cleaned up.
And you never, obviously I think this goes without saying, you never want to complain about another student in the presence of another student.
Ooh.
I think that goes without saying, although it gets done.
I'm sure it does. Gosh. Okay, this Abbott Element, I know I've talked about this. Abbott Elementary, I just started that show. Oh my gosh, dude. They do that in the show. The principal is like an idiot in that show. Yeah, she like blackmailed the superintendent to get the principal job, and there's like literally a moment in the last episode I watched where she's like roasting another kid to a kid. And I'm just watching it. I'm like, I'm like, Jack, this is just a show. It's not real. It's just a show. It's not real. But yeah, my gosh, I cannot imagine doing that. Like talking to a kid and making fun of another kid.
No.
I mean because one, very unprofessional, like start there. But two, you're giving permission to kids to talk to each other about themselves like that. Like that's just so bad.
Right. So I think that, developmentally appropriate for kids to do that, to talk about he said, she said, right? And then realize maybe that's not a great way to handle things, and you kind of learn that if you want to solve a problem, you go directly to the source of the conflict. But if you want to create drama and a sense of intrigue and whoa, well, how can we blow this up? And then talk to more people about it, or email more people about it. Like, get more people involved that really don't have anything to do with it, because then you can really get up some drama. Then you can create sides.
He's like kind of being tongue in cheek, but it's also like real.
It's true.
Because kids want that.
Right. Well, and people want that.
That's why TV exists.
That's right. I mean, that's obviously the social media norm, to throw out a softball and then people pounce on it. Then you go back to them and you create this sense of separation. And like you create your own kickball team.
Yes.
At least I'm not like them.
And there's like a narrative like being invented. Like those are always interesting when you walk it back with kids. Okay, this is not a real example, but this is something that could happen. It's like a kid comes in crying to your class. And they're like, "What's wrong?" They're like, "My best friend hates me." And you're like, "What?" You're like, "They posted a picture on Instagram. It didn't tag me." I'm like, "So they hate you?" "Yes." I wasn't even in the caption.
Oh my God.
I mean, but it like that's something believable, right? That did not. No kid ever said that, but like it went from didn't tag you in something to I hate you, right? But like kids would do that. Kids would find a way.
That makes sense. No. So, but that's maybe someday you and I will write a book. What if we wrote a book someday?
You brought this up.
I have?
Well, I never can tell if it's a joke or not.
Okay.
But you're like, Jack, you're like, when we write a book, you've said that before.
What if we did and we used different episodes as chapters?
Would the book be named Chops?
Yeah.
That could be fun. That could be really fun. Chops the book. But then why? Yeah.
But I mean, that would go well. That book would go well because you just take all these little stories in real life teaching situations and write it down.
Okay, you heard it, folks. Get your pre-orders in. Chops the book.
It's going to be out by 4th of July.
2068.
Steve will have been dead for 20 years and Jack's like 90.
It's my retirement gig. 2068, I'm not 90. You take that back.
No, that's 2068. Okay.
You're like, no. Oh yeah, you're right.
Okay, I would be 99.
99?
Man, you're an old man.
You're an old man. Because next summer, next summer I'll be 99. That would be kind of a fascinating thing. Gosh, we could get rid of all the stuttering. Think about that.
All the bad audio quality.
Oh, someday.
So, I imagine Jack. I don't go through Jack's emails. He has not given me access to that.
Where are we going with this?
But Jack's pretty lean. We've talked about this. Like Jack has everything that he needs on a digital device, like on iPad. So he doesn't carry around a bunch of papers. So you're pretty lean with your instructional materials. And then, but I've seen emails like I'll say to Jack, maybe by tomorrow, could you please put out an email and copy me on it?
Oh, sure. Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
and then like in 20 minutes, bing, it's like done, something like that. But you're very appropriate, or you're very aware of deadlines and appropriateness of when to put things out.
Okay.
I forgot what I was even talking about. Can you like hit me upside
I was
the
like,
head?
well, okay, so you're talking about conflict via communication.
Yeah.
Or lack of.
Yeah. You're pretty straightforward with your wording of things and problem solving. This is what needs to happen. This is what I would like to see, something like this, but it's very task driven and is something that can be clearly defined.
Yeah, I'd say that's
true.
So
you do that well. Like you have a good professional tone, good sense of syntax and grammar, and then things go out there. And Jack would never throw shade to another adult on the email channel.
No, we saved that for the band director group chats.
Yeah, that's true. So there's never a reason to cover your tracks because the tracks aren't bad.
Correct. There's, yeah.
And you never, I mean, I hope that we live our lives in that way, you and I both, but you don't want to be in a situation of, well, you said this, and like, you
Right.
just hope that what you say is true and that what you say is kind.
Right. And if you have like your teacher bestie and you guys shoot emails back and forth, like the classic one is, you get an email from like district level or an administrator or something that goes to your entire listserv, and then you reply to like on that email to your buddy, right? And you reply on that email, but you accidentally click reply all, right? I mean, and as soon as you click that and you see it says reply all, and your like heart sinks, and you just find your keys and you throw them in the office, like in the main office, and you walk out the door because you're not coming back, right? But like, don't do that. Like, don't mess with email. Because your district controls email. They can see everything.
They can see everything
if they want to.
And it's a digital stamp there for all times.
Yeah. Don't do that stuff.
So if you're gonna, I think it's hurtful enough to say something in person about somebody, like to bring up a sense of drama. But I guess there's a time for that, right?
Yeah.
Right. If you're in a private setting and there's like 3 colleagues together, and you want to talk about a certain situation that made you upset, whether it be about a fellow staff person, a student, that's appropriate.
Correct.
That's okay. But when you start using that as a springboard to continue to talk about somebody and to a reason to hold things against them all the time is because of that conversation, then that's not good.
Right. I want to go back to your original thing because I think I hijacked where you were going with this. But like you're talking about communicating clearly and timely.
Yes.
The other side of conflict, and this is less like petty, but this is just more real, is like deadlines, right? And that you ask for someone to achieve a task or complete a task by a certain time, and if they don't, it holds you back from doing your job appropriately.
Yes.
And that I think that gets tricky because not a lot of people know how to do that well.
Yeah.
On either end.
Yes.
Right. And it's obvious. I think the easier side to do well is the person that made the error, that missed the opportunity.
Okay.
Because if someone comes up to you and said, like if you said, Jack, I need your rosters for jazz band because we're traveling. This was real. You asked me that last week. And did I do it? Did I fill it out?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, good.
And in
This would be
fact,
ironic if I didn't.
I sent you an invitation to the doc, but I didn't get a notification that you updated it.
Okay.
So then I was like, I wonder if Jack, and I went and I was like, of course, it's already done.
But if I had not done that and Steve came to my office and said, hey, I didn't get that from you yet, I would have said, I'm really sorry. I'll take care of that.
Yes.
It'll be done by tomorrow morning.
Yes.
What is awkward is if Steve comes in, it's like, hey, I didn't get that from you yet. Can you take care of that? You're like, oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I just, it was really busy after school. Or like, what document? What are you talking about? Can you send it? Can you resend it to me? Did you send it? Are you sure you sent it to me?
Yeah.
Like start gaslighting the person.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I think adults probably feel like they need to be more defensive than the kids do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right? Because kids, I mean, they don't have much to lose, but, maybe there's a feeling of saving face. I don't know. But kids are more honest if you call them on that stuff. They're like, yep, didn't do it.
That's true. But you would hope that as an adult, you would have that sense of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Professionalism?
Professionalism, that you would be honest.
Right. You would hope.
And then you could expect that maybe a student would try to find something to hide behind to say why they didn't get it done, which again would be developmentally appropriate. Not that it's encouraged. We could encourage them to be honest about it, but it's more understandable if a 15-year-old boy does that compared to like a 40-year-old man.
But we would call that a teachable moment,
Right.
right? I mean that because you have that stuff happen. Like the kids, we had an AP theory assignment due this morning, and I didn't look at the turn-in rate or whatever, but I just reminded the kids, just like, it was due this morning. But if I went up to a kid, it would make sense for them to go, yeah, I just was really busy. I had 3 other assignments this weekend, and my grandma's died.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, both grandmas died? Yeah, both grandmas died. But then I'd say, like, hey, watch this. And I asked another kid, did you do it? They said, no. I said, why? Just like, I didn't. And I look at the other kid. I'm like, that's all you have to do. Like,
Right.
yeah, that's a pet peeve of mine when kids use the word busy to absolve themselves from the of turning in stuff late.
Yes.
I hate that. Then going back to this idea of not being on time with adults, I think it's harder to approach another adult and say,
Yes.
hey, can you double check that you do this?
Yes. Because it is appropriate to go up to a student and say, can you make sure double check that you do this?
But you go up to an adult and that's like suddenly
doesn't hit as well,
micromanaging,
right.
and like that's not cool. Like,
And
yeah,
if you're
let
not
me do my
somebody's
job.
like superior, or
Correct.
if you're just like colleagues, it feels a little bit more uncomfortable to do that.
But there are occasions when you need to do that. And, everybody makes those mistakes. Like, we've had to do that to each other. We do that to other people do that to us. And usually if you approach it with a certain sense of just like either humility, not humility, just like kind of being humble about it, not making a big deal about it, or a dry, bias-free approach,
Yeah.
it's usually not a big deal.
Right.
But sometimes you got to do that.
Right. Because that's going to happen. You're going to forget to respond to something or turn something in. And I've been called down to the office by administrative assistant down there. Like, you forgot to sign this document.
Yeah. Hey, your grade verification. Yeah. Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. It's 8:30.
Oh, sorry. And you just go, okay, sorry. My bad, bro. And you just get down there and you take care of it. Right?
That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. But sometimes it can feel like a bruised ego kind of thing, and it's like, is this really a big enough picture that we got to feel that way? And I say that for myself sometimes,
Right.
But that's another one that probably is pretty common, that like there's an awkwardness about confrontation or conflict due to missing disorganization, stuff like that.
Right.
That is very common in the workplace. What about, is it okay to talk about like adult conflict on here?
Yes.
It is? We're
Yes.
not going to get cut by the producers?
No.
Wait a second. We are the producers. Okay. Adult conflict. Steve, I hate you.
Check.
Mm-hmm.
Want
I
to
didn't
be
know
the
you were
first?
gonna do that.
Want to be the first one?
No. You've dealt with stuff like that, whether it's parents or whatever.
Yeah.
I've dealt with stuff like that. I mean, but I think that's the hardest part to deal with. And wait, I'm going to talk. Sorry, I'm cutting you off. I'm getting this out before I forget it.
Okay.
Michael Colburn,
Yes.
my conducting professor.
Yes.
Conductor of the Marine Band. That was a frightening first lesson. He conducted the U.S. Marine Band and then came to Butler University my sophomore year, and I had to take conducting class with him.
That's not intimidating. Wow,
dude! Oh my gosh, I was so scared. I'm like, what are we gonna conduct in here? What are we gonna work on? He's like, you're gonna buy the score to Lincolnshire Posey, and I'm like, what'd you say? It's like Lincolnshire Posey, Granger.
I wanted to
I'm like, no, I know.
I wanted to do Dark Adventure by Brian Balmages.
Wait, can we do the Robert W. Smith grade 0.5?
The Tempest.
The flex band version where there's only 4 parts on the score. Can we do that one? You're going to buy this set of colored pencils so you can mark your score. Okay.
Yeah.
He told me, we were talking about just like best practices and working with an ensemble, and he was like, yeah, Butler University and working with the Marine Band wasn't like, the personalities weren't that different. I was like, really? Like, I would think the Marine Band would be like
real.
would be like locked in. Oh no, it wasn't Marine Men. I'm sorry. He was talking about having guest like soloists.
Okay.
Yeah, that wasn't about the Marine Man, but it was like working with guest soloists or when he would guest conduct at other places. He's like, yeah, when I go places, adults are just kind of like kids, but they're older.
Wow.
He's like, they're just kids that are older. You deal with the same stuff. And I was like, huh. So he's just like, adults are just older kids. That was one of the lessons I remember from Colonel Colburn. That was a good one.
That's good. That is very good. Adults are just kids.
I'm sorry I interrupted you.
That's okay.
I'm just an older kid,
I just forgot what I was going to say again. Seem to have that problem lately.
He's like, wait. Okay. So talking about adults with adults, conflict, and probably more of the real kind, less about the deadline kind of simpler stuff. Could be when you disagree with an adult and there's like something that you really need to talk about, maybe something that's petty that has come into your radar, and just ways that you've navigated that or approach it.
Yeah. Okay. This is like continues on what you were just talking about, but I can remember in the last 5 years, I've had maybe 3 conversations with adults where I had to call an adult on the tone that they were using with me.
Yeah.
Like in a meeting, like, are you
coming at me, bro?
Are you coming at me? Like, this seems very adversarial. Can we just back up? Because we're trying to solve this problem. But I have used the phrase, are you coming at me? Which I think that is like kids being older. Like, again, it's more, I'm just saying this same phrase, it's more developmentally correct for a teenager to act like that than a 40-year-old man.
Right.
Right? A teenager, a 14, 15-year-old boy is supposed to push the boundaries and find out what the correct tone is in a conversation. And then hopefully you have an adult on the other side saying, no, that's not how you want to approach that. Try this.
So young teachers listening, listen to the man.
Yeah. Listen to me!
Listen to him. Because if someone's coming at you,
yes.
I mean, easiest example to consider is like parent-teacher conferences.
Yes.
Right? That you gave a kid an F. Kid deserves an F.
Kid earned an F.
Parents come at you and say, why does my kid have an F? Right. What are you doing wrong? Why are you not teaching my kid? Why are they not learning from you? They got A's in all these other classes. Why are they not learning from you?
Right.
You have the right to say, one, very little right away.
Right.
I think, silence can be a powerful tool in those moments.
Yes.
That you just kind of look at them and you go, do you mind trying that? Like trying that again, maybe in a more, polite way. I'm happy to help you, but I'm not happy to help you if you're going to speak to me in that way. And unfortunately, that may be the reality for many teachers right now, that there may be some upset parents that are coming in a little too hot.
Yeah. Well, and then as a teacher of teenage students, that's part of the lesson plan, is to help students express what they want, but you help them describe how they want to get it.
Right.
And the tone that they use, whether it's written and whether it's spoken. And how do you communicate that to get what you want? Like, play the game.
Perfect example that happened like 30 minutes ago to you. You and I have a mutual student, very kind student, super kind student. And student came up to you and said, can you fix my saxophone? And you said, wow, I don't even get a hi anymore. And you were being like tongue in cheek. And she's like, oh, sorry. Hi. Can you fix my saxophone? And you're like, sure, I'll look at it later or whatever. But, There are adults in the world that don't have that kind of
right.
people skill, that they just
So-
run up and say, here's what I need.
And that's an advantage of being a teacher because you're you can get away with doing that, like being funny or sarcastic and saying, "Oh, I'm sorry. Did you tell me hi and you're happy to see me today? Or you just want me to fix your little saxophone because, you need something now?" But there is, you got to play the game.
Right. And you have the relationship with those kids that when you do that, they're like, I get it. I'm with you.
Right.
Other example that is not the same way. Student was asking to go to another room. They were not asking to go to your room, and I'm going to use your name. They said, "Can I go to Peterson's room?" And I said, "Who?" She said, "Peterson." She was not picking up what I was putting down. I was like, can we try that again? Peterson. Like, I think he's got a Mr. in front of his name. It's like, oh, Mr. Peterson? I'm like, sure, what about him? I started to troll her a little bit. But I was like, no, like you got to, and maybe that's the first time that she has heard a teacher ask for the Mr. or Mrs. to be placed in front of the last name.
When students say that, are you in prison or in the military? Because that's how we're referring to people. But that's good. That's part of the job description, is helping students come across these ideas and these questions and ask them in a sensible and polite way.
There are a few moments throughout my year that I'm like, wow, I'm really glad I'm a teacher right now.
Which one of those?
But when we get to coach kids.
Oh yeah.
Because maybe you witness something that happens in your day outside of being a teacher where it makes you want to do that.
Yes.
Or you watch somebody deal with somebody else who's doing that. And maybe, if you're working at an office, you have an office job, and there's someone that does something that you as a teacher, if they were in your class, you would be correcting that.
Right.
And you see that happen, you're like, I am so glad.
Yes.
Because that is something that is for some people, very good about being a teacher, is that you're pretty much in control of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not in control, you could be, but you're trying to figure it out. And that's something I'm glad about, that I get to coach kids on how that stuff works. Right. And if I ever left this job, I'm sure I would do it accidentally and totally make a fool of myself.
Oh, that's like another episode. What do you see when you're out in public and there's teenagers misbehaving?
You did that once. You remember that? The hamburger?
Yeah, we got a hamburger thrown at us.
God, that was epic. But you were with kids though. You were with your students, but it was another group of kids, and I'm fascinated to know what went through your head now that I'm a teacher.
I forget what.
Okay, you want me to paint the picture?
Yeah, my son Jacob was just talking about this episode last week, being with you and Johnny, and we were at a McDonald's downtown.
Yes.
We were doing some jazz band winter gig.
Oh, because we played. Didn't we play one of your tunes or something?
Yeah, you guys were playing outside. It was snowy.
We played outside at Stevenson's.
Yeah, Stevenson's.
That was cold
store.
as all get out. We were playing outside, and we went to the McDonald's afterwards. And you were there. Did you bring Adam or Jacob?
Yeah, I think they were both there. Yeah.
And you were kind enough to hang out with. This is not a school event. This was nothing to do with school, but that jazz combo that I was in high school found some gig.
Did some gig downtown.
And we played, I think you arranged, it was like O Come, O Come, Emmanuel. You arranged it for a jazz band or something. Okay. And we played it because you wanted to hear it. And we're like, let's go to McDonald's. And we went to McDonald's and hung out for a little bit. And there were some punks in line.
There were some punks.
And I don't know what egged them on to do this, but at one point, we got a hamburger thrown at our table.
Yes, we did.
And we were all just like, what? And then you looked around at us. You looked at your sons. You're like, I'm going to talk to them. And you just got up and went to talk to them. And I have no idea do you remember that?
No, I
don't.
Remember
what you said? You listen here, you little
You
punk.
listen. You don't know who you're dealing with. Say my name.
Say his name.
Well.
You think you can throw a Big Mac at me? Is that what you think?
You don't know how the power.
Let's take this outside. Meet you at the parking lot. 5 minutes. Let's go. Bring your saxophone. You solo off with it. You have a
tear you down on the F blues. Bring it.
You want to hear some tritone subs? You don't want to make me go there. I'm not going there.
I went there.
I went there. No. Gonna go there with this half diminished seventh arpeggio.
That was good, Jack.
Thanks.
That was good. I feel called to do that in public.
That's probably good because someone has to.
I've done it in movie theaters.
Oh, yeah. You're that guy. Like,
Yeah,
hey,
I'm
can
that
you get
guy.
off your phone.
Yeah.
You do like the half look back. You're like,
Yeah, you keep on doing it. You're like, could you guys knock it off? I paid $28 to watch this flick here.
and that was just for the popcorn.
That was just for the popcorn. No, that's good to do.
That's good because a lot of people do not feel comfortable doing that,
Right.
even though they should. Especially like the usher who works at that movie theater, who's probably younger than the kids,
Yes.
like doing that stuff. They're not gonna. I mean, nothing against them, but yeah, that's tough. Conflict in public, yeah.
But we do have an advantage because we're teachers and our students are quite a bit younger than us. So we have the generational gap. It's appropriate to say something, and it should be encouraged.
Because if you don't,
who
will?
And then, but it does become a little bit more tricky when you're talking with adults.
Yeah.
You know, it's not my job to correct adult behavior.
One thing that like you talked about earlier, like you said it was like appropriate to talk with a couple people on your staff in like
Yes.
behind closed doors and say like, how do I navigate this? Because I
Yes.
remember there were some things that like I didn't appreciate with how an adult interacted with me or how I interacted with an adult. And I remember like talking to you and I'm saying like, can you help me find the best like navigational path to work through this?
Yes. Yes.
And you were very helpful in helping me discover what that path was. And I think the biggest thing is if you're going to approach another adult to solve conflict, wait. Like you got to wait. Don't do it immediately.
Right.
Like you got to sit on that stuff. I mean, the easiest trick is like write an email.
Yeah.
But don't send it.
Don't send it. Right.
Or
right.
have an imaginary conversation, but do it with your spouse or your dog or something.
Yes.
And we've all done that stuff, and then come in the next day and have a prepared monologue that can turn into a dialogue about how you want to, how something made you feel. And I've tried very hard to omit non-objective statements. Like, that was a really hurtful thing you said. Can't say that. I felt hurt by what you said.
Yeah,
right?
doing the I statements.
The I statements, or here's how the situation was handled. Here's how it made me feel.
Yep.
Here's what I would feel better about.